Hello, welcome to the weather update. It's about 10 o'clock, and so far we've avoided seeing any severe weather. This is the satellite image with lightning strikes superimposed. You can see Delaware, the Delmarva area getting hit very hard, as well as a lot of areas of the Mid-Atlantic. But for the most of us, I would say anything from I guess, Atlantic City northward, it's been avoiding most of these storms that we have, but we are having rain. We have a slow-moving cold front that is approaching our area. You can see it here. There's like almost a little wave of low pressure along it. Let's talk about the record highs today because we had a number of them, and let's go to the post here, and you'll see here that we have a number of record highs today here for Newark, JFK, and Islip have all broken their record highs. Let's just zoom this in a little so you can see that. And you can see here, they've all broken, it might be a little too much, but they've all broken their record highs here. Newark, JFK, and Islip. All right, so today's observed, this was so far, and Newark was 81. Central Park got to 79. Islip, 79. That's the record. LaGuardia, 78. JFK, 74. And Bridgeport, 61. Only 61 in Bridgeport. Wow, that's... I don't know if they must have stayed in the back to a front or something, but yeah, very warm day across the area. A lot of records being broken. I'm curious to see if yes, we have severe weather, and we're going to talk about that as well. But I'm curious to see if Philadelphia has broken a record as well. If there was any statement. We're mainly talking about the severe thunderstorms right now. I'm not sure. So it seems like they've had some pretty bad thunderstorms in that area there, but we don't see anything about record highs for the Philadelphia area. I'm not sure. We can look at some climate readings for that as well. But let's go look at, let's get to the severe weather. I guess that's the first thing we'll talk about tonight, because we do have some strong to severe thunderstorms. You'd see there's Atlantic City, so it looks like Atlantic City got hit. The real southern tip of Jersey got hit. Other than that, we just have rain showers over much of the Jersey Shore area, approaching Long Island. And then as you go further south, these are some of the lines that wind up hitting the Delmarva area and hitting it pretty hard as well as a result. We go to the Storm Prediction Center here. You see we actually have how that came up there. But you can see some blue dots and no tornadoes being reported, but I see some blue and green dots. So for wind, straight line wind and hail, it looks like was the main issue with these storms. There you go. There's that slight risk. Marginal kind of goes right into the southern part of New Jersey right there. So let's go look and see if there have been any power outages from these storms, if they've caused a lot of power outages. Not really. New Jersey, let's see, Delmarva, Delaware, hardly any. So it doesn't look like these storms have caused too many power outages. Just pretty strong to severe thunderstorms. Looking at the current lightning detector, you can see all the lightning off Atlantic City. A lot, and I mean a lot of lightning off Atlantic City. It's really going out there. I wonder if EarthCam has a camera for Atlantic City. Probably not, but let's go ahead and see if they do, because I'm kind of curious to see. We could see some of that lightning. Let's see if they have one for Atlantic City. They have Wildwood Crest, which is around Atlantic City. Let's see. This camera is unavailable, it says, so that one is not working. What about Wildwoods? This one might be working. Oh, you can see it's raining there, yeah. So they're getting a thunderstorm. This is south of Atlantic City. You can see the lightning flashing there. So it looks like they're getting a pretty heavy thunderstorm right there. You can see some lightning flashing there. It doesn't look that bad on the camera, but this camera may be underestimating how bad it is. It looked like there were quite a bit of strikes on there. It's too bad that there's nothing from... I wonder if we could see it from Seaside. Probably not, but let's see if we go with the amusement park view. Let's see if you could see the storm, the lightning from the storm. These lights are pretty bright. Probably not going to be able to see it. I don't want to waste your time looking for lightning. But anyway, let's get back to the weather and hazards map and talk about our high temperatures. And you can see there is a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for that southern tip of Jersey right there. And then we also have a fire weather watch Friday afternoon, Friday evening, because of low RH values and gusty winds. Yeah, there hasn't really been all that much rain lately, and it does not look like we're going to get that much. Our only opportunities tonight, really. So you can see the temperatures have dropped. The winds have shifted to the northwest after a very warm day. So let's take a look and see how Islip was today, and you'll see 64 right now, which I think the temperature went up, but you'll see what happened here. We got up well up there, well up. I don't know. We're not seeing as many observations out of Islip, but for some reason they used to report more. You see, there was some pretty thick fog this morning, and you can see it hit 70. I don't know why it's 79. This one says 78. I don't know if that's 79 hit, but either way, that smashes the record of 71. So that record is smashed. I mean, and then some. And Jersey, obviously getting even hotter. Just look at Lakehurst. We're at 61 there right now, but they got up into the mid-80s today. That's just downright hot, 85. That's very warm. So let's look at the map of the high temperatures for the day. And you'll see across Long Island, you'll see here New Jersey dealing with 80s for the most part, mid-80s, except unless you were right at the shore. And then JFK got up to 74. It looks like we got to around 80 in Mineola. I see a 79 and 81 in Floral Park. But on the South Shore, they got up to the low 70s. Even right on the South Shore of Nassau, it wasn't all that much cooler, but there was a big difference when I got on the train in the afternoon. I got on the train, the train that goes to that stops at Mineola and then goes to Patchogue and took it to Babylon. It was pretty warm in Mineola. I would say it was in the upper 70s. When I got to Babylon, it was quite refreshing, and temperatures felt like they were in the mid 60s. And just show you some pictures here of what the sky was like at Argyle Lake. It was so much better there. Nice breeze. You could breathe. It was nice getting out of the urban jungle, getting some air. Although this is, again, a place that is reserved for some very important people and, millennials who, I'm not part of that group. So, but you can see here that, nice breeze blowing. And then we had some interesting clouds later on. This was actually, I think this might have been, this was right around when the wind shifted. The sea breeze stopped and the winds went to the northwest. This was around 7 o'clock this evening. And you can see what the sky was like there. Some rather interesting looking clouds in the sky there as this wound up moving through. So panning the map out, you'll see 78 in Central Park, 77 at LaGuardia. And then as you get into Jersey, that's when you really break the 80-degree mark here. And you're dealing with temperatures in the mid-80s here. 86 in the North Toms River area, 82 in downtown Toms River, 84 at Lakehurst, 87 at Coyle Field. Wow, almost upper 80s there, right in the middle of the Pine Barrens there. It's actually the West Pine Plain, so there's actually dwarf pines around there. So hot during the day, cooler at night. It's a real desert-like environment. It looks like I even see a 90-degree rating. Mays Landing, 90 degrees. That's unbelievable. I see a 94 over here, so those might be a little suspect. I think it was more like mid-80s, maybe upper 80s. I don't think anyone got to 90. Go further south, though, you can see the mid-80s, and then probably some of these areas like D.C. maybe got close to 90. Not quite. I don't see any 90s here. That's really very warm. That's like over 30 degrees above normal. Insane. Insanely hot. So if we go to the climate report for today and look at Islip, which we're going to do now. Let's go to Islip, and you'll see here, there's your record. 78 was the record. 79, that's a misprint. 78 was the record there. 78. The record value, the old record was 71. The normal value is 55. That's a high of 23 degrees above normal. So that gives us a mean of, let's see, we were average for the day was 65. So we were nearly 20 degrees above normal, 19 degrees above normal. Quite insane. For sure. And JFK also set a record 74, which beat the old record of 73. And they were about 13 degrees above normal for the day. Bridgeport, for some reason, Bridgeport only made it to 61. They must have, whatever the case is, they stayed in the back door, whatever. Let's go into the furnace of New Jersey. 81, they also set a new record. That's a high of 22 degrees above normal. The departure for normal for the whole day, 15 degrees above normal, which is pretty insane. And obviously this is not the Philly office. If I want the climate for the Philly office, I'd have to go down here and we'll have to see if there were any records set. And again, you can see these storms again. Well, now moving offshore and like putting on a lot of lightning. It looks like, and we'll have to see how much rain those areas got as well. Probably not too much, but let's go and look at the climate. Climate for they have a different page layout. Philadelphia. I don't know why the Weather Service has to like do this, like with different. You have everything's laid out differently, you know. So daily climate report. Let's go look at Atlantic City Airport. The high was 87, but they just missed getting their record of 88. But still, that's only 30 degrees above normal. So 25 to 30 degrees above normal. Jersey just being hot, hot, hot. Philadelphia, 83. No record there. What about Trenton? 80. For some reason it was a little cooler in Trenton. But, yeah. So let's go to the close out weather and hazards, and we'll go to the Wonder Map, get some more observations, and take a look at how things vary today across the area depending on where you were, because quite incredible difference between here and Babylon. It was just unbelievable. It's sort of like a furnace. So hot here, and then you went to Babylon. It was so nice and refreshing. But anyway, let's go and look at the weather for Mineola. And this thing's at 78. You can see actually there looks like there was a drop off. So I guess there was a sea breeze that wound up getting into Mineola. I guess almost around 4 o'clock, it did wind up dropping the temperatures into the mid 60s. So I guess we did wind up eventually getting a sea breeze here, or some type of sea breeze, because there was a drop there. You could see that. Let's go and look at some of the other stations. So if we go to the North Shore, like Port Washington. Now, some of these sites on the North Shore actually had breezes too, believe it or not. Sound breezes, which you can get sometimes. So all these microclimates with Long Island's weather is very interesting. So it had 81 in Glen Cove. You can see that 81 in Glen Cove, but then it started dropping in the later afternoon. But no, it wasn't really that much cooler there. It looks like it did soar up, but there were a couple of sites that were right on the water that were cooler, like maybe Manhasset Island and Mannahaven. They only got to 73, so they're right on the water. So you had a little bit of a sound breeze there. It kind of kept it a little cooler, which is very interesting. All right. Then we go to the South Shore. We'll look at Babylon, where it probably got only into like the low 70s probably. So only 68 degrees. So there you go, only 68. So it briefly warmed up, and then by the time I got there, it was actually in the upper 50s. So almost 20 degrees cooler than Mineola. And then when the wind shifted to the northwest, the temperature actually went up. So very nice breeze there. And then if you were right at the beach, of course, you had an even nicer breeze. Probably only stayed in like the low 60s or something like that. 63 was only the high if you were right at the beach. And actually the high was set this evening when the winds went to the northwest. That's interesting. Let's see how Long Beach is doing here. I don't know why it says North Lynbrook. I'm pretty sure it's in Long Beach, but let's see what the high was. 70.8. So, yeah, they had a nice breeze there. I only got up close to some. A little, as the further west you go, the little bit warmer it gets. But you see when that sea breeze came in, look at how it dropped off like that. So let's go further east here. It's always interesting to look at these readings with the sea breeze and see how the sea breeze is. I believe this is one of my colleagues' weather stations here. So let's see how Patchogue. He only got up to 70, so he did get a sea breeze, it looks like. He got one. So it did. The further east you are, the stronger the sea breeze is, because you're further east and you're away from the city. You're also away from New Jersey, which is a big furnace. So if we go out east and look at the Pine Barrens here. Let's go somewhere in the Pine Barrens. Yeah, let's go to Ridge and see how warm it got over there. Probably like mid-70s, probably. 76. So they got up to 76. There was a bit of a sea breeze, but not as nice as if you were on the South Shore, obviously. That's where the best sea breezes were, if you were on the South Shore. We'll just do one more. Obviously, my favorite town on the South Shore is Rockville Center. Let's see how warm they got. They got up to 70. So they still managed to make it to 76. But then a big cool down around. That was the sea breeze that came in. Look at that. Dropped it down to like 60 in an hour and a half. That's pretty good. But if you were in New Jersey, you got none of that. So if you were in Jersey, you're baking. Let's go to some of the hottest places around here. Pine Ridge at Crestwood. All right. I'm sure they were dealing with probably mid-80s. This is west of Toms River. 87, and it was up into the 80s most of the day. And it only dropped off when the clouds sort of came in, and that dropped them into the upper 70s. My gosh. Jersey was brutal today. Absolutely brutal. So there you go. A little bit of look at the temperatures going on across the area. So let's go to the models. I guess we'll go to that and talk about what's going to be happening. Obviously, we have this cold front here. It's going to be moving slow, but it's going to push offshore tomorrow. So we'll dry out and we'll cool off, but we're still going to have a lot of clouds around because you can see it's kind of stalled out to the south, and we may be dealing with some clouds on Saturday too as well from that. And we may have to wait until Sunday before we finally clear this thing out of here and have some clear weather. And then after that, you'll see high pressure builds in and gives us a pretty fair week, but very dry, hardly any rain, which for April is not a good thing. Usually have some rain to not have much rain at all. In fact, if we go right through the period here and look at the total rainfall here, there's not a whole lot, which is going to mean fire risks for sure, especially for Long Island. Well, we could use some fires. We could really use some fires, actually. So, people say it would be a bad thing. No, it would actually be a good thing. If we had a couple of big fires, it would get rid of these beetles and really restore the forest health, which is what we need. Maybe we'll get one this year. Maybe this will be the year we finally get some big fires in the Pine Barrens. We haven't had any in a while, and we kind of need them. So let's go to the HRRR, to the 0Z HRRR, so you get to see, we're looking at total accumulated pre-. Let me move this back over here. So you see that complex over Jersey. It kind of just stays to the south. We get some leftovers on Long Island. It probably won't amount to all that much. Some showers lingering, and then as we get to tomorrow, that front sinks south, so we won't have to deal with any rain threats, and it will be dry after that. Looking at your total accumulated precip, you'll see very little. So very little. The heaviest rain is going to be South Jersey. Even Toms River probably won't. Well, maybe they could get up to a half an inch, maybe. All right. I could go to the Wonder Map. Actually, I should go to the Wonder Map. Back to the Wonder Map and look at rainfall. Just see how much rainfall that has fallen so far, because it's probably not much. In some areas, you have to go really to South Jersey to get some half-inch amounts. Other than that, further north, it's not really much. Not really much at all. So let's go look at our dew points and wind flow. So humidity comes down tonight. It's probably going to start dropping by after midnight. We'll have the humidity come down. Light northwest winds tomorrow. Plenty of dry air at the surface. Light west winds to north winds in the overnight. Winds are northerly for Saturday. You can see northerly. Maybe trying to develop a little bit of a sea breeze. You can see it there. You can actually see it's trying to develop a sea breeze on Saturday with some little more moisture in the air from the sea breeze there. It's kind of interesting that if that winds up happening, probably will. Each RRR is usually pretty good at picking up on sea breezes. Though it was not quite as bad as we thought today, and only because we had a little more clouds, and that helped us out a little bit. It was still pretty damn warm out there. So tomorrow you'll see the highs will be probably 55 to 60, which is maybe slightly above normal. And then tomorrow night, it's going to drop. We could have temperatures down to around the freezing mark, perhaps. Though with those clouds around, probably will prevent radiational cooling. And then for Saturday, it'll wind up being a cooler day with those north winds, probably highs only in the low to mid-50s, though a little more inland, and you can sort of see that sea breeze. Almost sets it up going into New Jersey. Look at that. You can see that right there. All right. GFS, if we want to go a little further, dew points and wind flow. You can see, again, as we get just very light winds for Sunday, northeast to east winds, but dry air, and then continue with the dry air. And then next week, you'll see the winds go westerly. We're going to be in a westerly flow for a lot of next week, and you'll see some moisture try to work in, but we are going to be very warm next week. All right, so if we look at our temperatures here, Once we get into tomorrow, you'll see here it cools off a little bit, just a little bit above normal. Then Saturday might be a little bit below normal. Sunday, highs in the mid-50s. Lows at night probably in the 30s. Radiational cooling. And then you can see the temperatures start to creep up as we get more ridging. Monday, Tuesday, we're back flirting with maybe 70 degrees and definitely into the 70s by the middle of next week. So looks like another very warm weekend. Look at that. A week ahead from now, here we are again, dealing with temperatures near 80 degrees. Again, with a westerly flow, it could get quite warm. 80s perhaps even for Fridays. Next week's going to a lot of warmth next week. So this whole month is going to be yet another month where we're going to be above normal. What else is new? Warm and dry, which again sets the stage for perhaps some fires, some big fires in the Pine Barrens. Which is why I hope they did a decent amount of controlled burns, because if they didn't, and then knowing them, they probably did. New York was supposed to publish a list of them, and I have yet to find it. So it could be bad. Could be bad, but it could also be a good thing for the Pine Barrens, though I'd much rather see a controlled burn than an uncontrolled one. But, sometimes you don't, you can't, you don't know, That's the thing, especially here on Long Island where we don't do enough controlled burns. New Jersey is going to be in better shape for that, I think. And they've had more rain, too, and they're going to get a little more rain tonight. So let's go now to the skies. And you'll see here, obviously, you see that stall front keeping clouds around, only of the mid and high variety. But we push that to the south on Sunday. We should have a mostly sunny day and then sunshine for next week. And I don't really want to go too much further onto this GFS, but it shows some sunny days there, though there could be some cirrus around. Let's go to the RGM here, which is a much better model for, I prefer using this model for the skies. So you see tomorrow, we actually start off with some sun, and then they be thickening high and mid-level clouds. And then we're dealing with the sun trying to get in on Saturday and getting tortured, probably clear sky just to the north. If you're further north, upstate New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, you'll have a nice sunny day with clear skies. We'll have to wait till Sunday, until eventually this gets pushed south, and we should have another nice, mostly sunny day as we get towards Sunday. And that is Easter Sunday. Tomorrow is Good Friday, and of course it is the beginning of Passover. So again, happy Passover as well. So we'll look at a few more sky models here, the NAM as well. It doesn't really go out far enough. It only goes out that far. So let's just go and look at the long range for a little bit. Back to the GFS, back to the North American view, and looking at the jet stream here, and kind of just looking at things here. So we have, again, we see that ridging in the east, a little broad little area. You'd think with this, you'd think it would be cool, but it's not. You see that trough in the east. It's just there's no connection to the cold. It's such a dry. And then you can see that big ridge there, and then that big ridge that builds as we get to the next week. And that's going to mean more warmth for sure. So, and you see the trough, the west coast does die down a little bit. You see that a little bit. It does die down. But we see just, generally ridging across the whole country. And the jet stream just kind of becoming very weak and fragmented. Which, again, you know why that's happening. I'm not going to explain it. You know why. So, you can see here, big ridge, a little bit of a trough, but then next week we got another big ridge again. So, look at that, ridging across almost the whole country there. So it's no surprise that if we go look at the Climate Prediction Center, which I wasn't going to do, but we will, you will see 6 to 10 day, above normal, 8 to 14 day, above normal, and precipitation below normal, quite below normal actually for the Northeast. All right? So when we go and we take this back to the North American and look at our temperature anomaly charts, you'll see tomorrow will be a little bit above normal, a little bit below normal for Saturday, near normal for Sunday, and then we go above normal. Here we are Monday, Tuesday, much above normal. Wednesday, Thursday, you get the idea. It's going to be a warm month. What else is new? And then toward the end, it's trying to show some cooling, but that's always a carrot and a stick. You know the deal already. We are living in a rapidly warming planet, and we don't need to be very alarmed about it, but we're not. So with that, that's going to wrap up this weather update. Have a good night. Thank you for watching.